Alright, hello, Tasty here, and we are going to be looking at some of the best loadouts for the DEEPSTONE CRYPT RAID, in my opinion. I'm going to be going over weapons, perks, and armor mods, so this will not be class specific, and I'll also show specific loadouts for the roles in the raid. Now, full disclaimer, I'm not doing a full guide of the raid here. If you want that, there are plenty of amazing videos out there on YouTube, or also check out the community Discord link down below, and we will help you with the raid. Now, if you really just want to know the best loadouts for dropping Taniks quickly, there's no shame in that at all. I'll have timestamps in the description so you can skip right ahead. But first, as always, make sure to check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/tasty_cantaloupe, where I will be streaming Day 1 trials, hopefully this coming Friday. So let's get some hype for that, and without further ado, let's get right into the raid. Alright, so now here we are inside the DEEPSTONE Crypt. So for this first Sparrow part, there's really only one thing I can tell you, and it's to do this Sparrow glitch. This is pretty much the easiest spot I found to do it, but basically you just get on your Sparrow from inside of one of these bubbles, and you will get the Shelter from the Storm buff for the entire encounter. So with that being said, you don't have to deal with any of the ads at all until this gets patched, and so it's pretty much just smooth sailing from here, and you just have really one brig and one captain or two at the end. So given that, there's not really much I can give you for loadouts for this part. I usually just like default to the Lament for something like this, where you're taking out a brig or some big captains or something like that. So yeah, I just recommend the Lament, maybe Xeno if you want. But other than that, there's not really much for this first bit. So let's get right into the Crypt Security then from here. Alright, so here we are inside of Crypt Security. This is the first part of the raid where we have different roles, the roles being Operator, Scanner, and Ad Clear. Now, I have two different loadouts I use for this depending on if I'm Operator or not. So first, we're going to be talking about if you're not Operator, if you're the Scanner, or if you're on Ad Clear. So for this, I run my Cold Denial, which is my main primary. I run my Deafening Whisper, which I use as a primary, link above for the video I did on the God roll of that. And then the key is the Xenophage, which I'll show you later with the DPS. But yeah, the Deafening Whisper I really like because it destroys these servitors, and with the 2 shots you get from the Ambitious Assassin, it's really great because you're going to knock some ads out with it too. But then as far as builds, basically on your class item, you're going to want to use Thermal Overload and Surge Eater, and those are the 2 key mods for this, for whether you're Operator or not, for everybody in this part. Basically because there are Overload champions, and with Thermal Overload you can disrupt them with Stasis or Solar Nades, and then with Surge Eater, when you or a fire team member does this, you get your grenade right back. So basically you keep this Overload champion in a perpetual loop of being stunned. So here you can see we're just going to throw our grenades right at him, and as a fire team, the 3 of us over here are just going to be able to take care of him no problem. So that's really great, and again, you can see the Deafening Whisper. I just completely love this gun, so definitely check out the God Roll video I made on it. So now we're going to look at if you are the Operator. The key distinction here is that you can run Lament because you're not going to be doing DPS, and Lament is just an amazing weapon, as I've said before, and it can get you out of sticky situations, as well as it can give you more easy damage against the captains and the Overload champions. So there you can see I'm just going to disrupt them and then just go right in with my sword, which I couldn't before because I had to run Xenophage to do DPS at the end. So that's the key distinction here, and then the Operator's basically just going to run down and do their Operator thing. Again, not doing a full guide here, but same loadout otherwise. So then the people up top again are going to be the ones that we rely on for the DPS. So basically you DPS these little coils, and because they don't have a crit spot, Xenophage is the best gun for this. If you don't have Xenophage, I'd go for a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher, probably not a sniper rifle in this case. But you can see you don't want to shoot it too quickly, you just want to shoot it when the Operator calls it. But yeah, again, you can see it just completely melts these things, and that's why Xenophage is the god tier weapon for this encounter. So then after this, we are going to get into Atraks, good old Atraks. So first, I actually want to talk about some of the raid armor mods, which will come into play starting with Atraks and then beyond there. So these are great if you know you're going to play a certain role throughout the raid, and they actually even have perks for when you're not in that role. So first we have the Enhanced Operator Augment. So basically you get periodic bursts of healing when your health is low as Operator, which happens a lot for Atraks as the Operator. And even when you're not Operator, you're going to spawn heavy ammo from picking up Orbs of Power from your Masterwork weapons and such. So those are some really great perks there for the Enhanced Operator Augment. And then we have Herd Thinner, which is an all-around perk where basically just do more damage to ads. And it says it stacks. I haven't really tested this out, but that sounds like it'd be great. So then next up we have the Enhanced Suppressor Augment, which will come into play for both of the Taniks boss fights. So with the Suppressor Augment, you take decreased damage from powerful foes, which would definitely be great while you're trying to stun Taniks and you're just taking all sorts of damage from everywhere. And then without the augment, your grenades stun targets. So basically, I would assume if you're running this, you wouldn't have to run Thermal Overload, so you just have an extra mod slot for there. So yeah, if you're running Suppressor, definitely throw on this perk. So then for the final raid armor mod, we have the Enhanced Scanner Augment. So this would be great for this Atraks fight that we have coming up in a few moments. So while you have the Scanner Augment, you basically mark powerful foes and do increased damage to them, such as like the Servitors and such, which would be great. And then without it, you just have increased resilience and recovery, and your class energy recharges faster. So that would be great for the entire raid, actually. I'd definitely throw this on if you're Scanner. So now let's get into the Atraks boss fight, the boss fight that ruined many day one runs, including my own. But now it's significantly easier, assuming you have the right loadout. So the loadout I'm going to recommend for this is the exact same as the Operator for the last fight, except everybody I would recommend to use this loadout, not just the Operator. So for your primary, I've been using the Cold Denial. It's my favorite primary right now. I can do a video if you guys want, just let me know, of the god roll of it, because it's just really great for any like challenging activities where you need to be taking cover and you don't just want to be using an SMG the entire time. And then for your special weapon, I'm using again the Deafening Whisper, so you know, I keep plugging that video, but check it out. The god roll is just really good for clearing out these ads in this raid specifically. And then for your heavy weapon, for doing your DPS to Atraks, you want to be using the Lament, no question about it, because you're going to do the Banshee Wail with the charge, and then 3 light attacks, and then 1 heavy attack, and then that's going to be how you get the most DPS on the boss. If for some reason you don't have the Lament, number one, just go get it. It's a pretty easy quest, and everyone who's having access to the raid has access to the quest, so there's no reason why you shouldn't have it. But if you feel like doing the raid without the Lament, the Falling Guillotine would be a close second. The numbers, they're close enough that it would be the next thing I'd recommend, but otherwise, you just need the Lament. So then another thing I want to recommend is armor mods, particularly if you find you're going down a lot and your fire team is yelling at you because you cannot stay alive and they have to keep reviving you, would be a Protective Light build. So I will have linked above my Necrotic Grips Lost Sector guide, where I went over a complete Protective Light Charge with Light build. So I would definitely recommend that if you're having trouble with surviving. You will just find that the Sheltered by the Void perk will keep you alive a lot. And then the key Charge with Light mod that you need to equip no matter what role you are, period, is Lucent Blade. If you don't equip this, you're literally just throwing away damage. So on any arc piece of armor, put this on, and while you're charged with light, it'll consume a stack to give you bonus sword damage. And then the secondary perk, if you put another arc piece of armor on with a mod or another arc mod on that piece of armor, you will get greatly increased sword recharge rate. So both of these perks from these mods will make the Lament much more deadly against Atraks. So now I'm simply just going to show you what 3 people can do using the Lament, and that isn't even like the maximum damage probably. I'm sure there's other things we could be doing, other like little cheeses and little special things we could be doing, but this is just your overall LFG group using Lament, having a good time with it. And then basically we did this in one phase, I'm pretty sure, meaning one entire damage phase. And then I was able to go up as Scanner and take out the first Atraks with one, I think only 3 of us were even there, but only 1 Atraks had to go down and we had the boss fight covered. So now I'm going to let the rest of this boss fight play out for you guys, just so you can see how deadly the Lament is. I just want to make a few clarifications throughout the video and have some questions for you guys. So first of all, I want to clarify that this video took a little longer to edit than I had wanted. So if you saw the Twitch preview, week 1 of trials already has passed. I did a stream, but still make sure to follow because I'll be streaming some more. We almost got flawless this past week, so we're getting there, getting a lot better. And then I just wanted to ask what you guys think of this format of video. I'm doing a couple things different here, having the different timestamps, and just the way I segmented this video was a little bit different and took a little longer, but I want to know if you guys appreciate it or not. Also, I do know that my Deafening Whisper god roll isn't the exact god roll. Now it seems like Wellspring could be better than Rampage, but either way you still want Ambitious Assassin, so I'm still going to leave that video up and definitely check it out. Also, finally, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support I've gotten. My first video has gotten over 500 views, which I'm very proud of. So again, just make sure to like and subscribe to keep supporting the channel and join the community Discord so you can play along. And with that, I'll get right back to the video. Alright, so next up we have the Taniks Rapture encounter, which definitely can be the most hectic encounter in the entire raid, but I think it's also kind of the most fun. You're just sort of taking out ads with your fire team, having a good time. There's a lot less focus on the technical raid mechanics, and there's a lot more focus on just taking out the ads and basically figuring out the mechanics, which are great if you want to learn how to do some of the different roles that you don't know how to do yet for later on in the raid. So this is a great time to experiment with the roles. And when you're with an advanced fire team, you might even try out the chaos method, where basically you don't really even assign roles, and you're basically just taking whatever augment you find and then dropping it when you get deactivated, and then just fighting to get the augment first. So, as far as loadouts, the first loadout I've been using for this entire raid works fine, but something I like to use a little bit more is the Ikelos SMG with a Warmind cell build, and then the Wither Horde, which will also help you generate Warmind cells as long as you switch to your Ikelos SMG, and then the Falling Guillotine to take out the Majors. So, with this build, you can use a lot of different Warmind cell mods. I was using Grasp of the Warmind here, which is a lot of fun because you can actually throw the Warmind cells, which is really cool to just see them attached to the enemies you throw them at. But then, other than that, as far as mods, I would definitely say if you're having trouble staying alive, default to that Protective Light build I've been mentioning. And then, as far as another important mod you should keep regardless is those overload mods for the overload champions with the grenades. Definitely keep those on. And then as far as some super recommendations, if you're a warlock, I would definitely do what I've been doing, is just dropping wells in the center, using Starfire Protocol to keep those wells up for the entire time. And then as a Titan, you could drop bubbles in the center with Helm of State 14, or maybe use Stasis and just have fun with that, just wreaking havoc on the ads. And then as a Hunter, I would use the Stasis Super and just throw that in the center. So basically in the center, you're going to have a lot of protection from those wells and bubbles, and then those Hunter Stasis Supers are just going to kill a bunch of the ads. So to summarize, for this encounter, regardless of what you're doing, keep those overload grenade mods on, as they're going to help you out a bunch as long as you're running solar or stasis subclasses. And then I would highly recommend doing a Warmind cell mod. Ikelos is just the weapon I recommend. You can use a lot of other weapons with Warmind cell mods. Protective Light build if you're having trouble staying alive, and then just take the time to learn the different roles that you don't know yet. This is the perfect encounter for learning the raid roles. Alright, we've made it to the final Taniks boss fight. If you've made it this far with me, then thanks for sticking along for the ride. If you're just tuning in, then welcome. So what I've got prepared for you guys are my 3 favorite high DPS loadouts for this boss fight. Basically, it's all dependent on if you have a very specific god roll of a gun that you had to have gotten last season, or you can still farm for this season, but it's a little bit harder to find. So with that in mind, I've made that my number 1 loadout. My number 2 loadout is one that you can very easily get today. My number 3 loadout is a Divinity loadout, because yes, we hate to do it, but everybody's got to run Divinity sometime, so you might as well have a loadout for it. So, this first loadout is based around the first in, last out shotgun, the Heritage Raid shotgun, which I actually include in all the builds, and the Anarchy for that extra tick damage. So the first in, last out shotgun is actually a monster for killing Taniks. It's really crazy how much damage you can do with it, but you need this specific god roll to get the most out of it. So you want to have Vorpal Weapon in that last column for extra boss damage, auto loading so you can do an easy swap, Assault Mag for the fast rate of fire, and then throw a boss spec on there for the extra damage. Now basically what you want to do is have your Divinity person be shooting Taniks and sustaining the Divinity, and then you just shoot that little bubble with your shotguns. So then for the Heritage, the roll that you want to have, I don't have the perfect god roll, but I have the 9 out of 10 god roll pretty much, and that is Recombination, Reconstruction, so that Recombination makes it so that you get kills with anything else, and it stacks up to times 10, and your first shot's going to do nearly 100,000 damage, which is crazy. And then Recombination works kind of like auto-loading, but actually double loads the cartridge cartridge with double capacity. You'd want to have Assault Mag, I don't have that yet, and then another boss spec, of course. So then once you're in the DPS phase, a couple things to keep in mind are that you want to keep those 2 ticks of Anarchy sustained for the entire time as much as you can, and then I usually roll in with my Heritage first for that big shot of 90,000 damage, and then swap to the first in last out, and then you can do like quick swapping if you manage that. I still haven't quite learned that myself, but there you can see how crazy the damage is, especially for that first shot of the Heritage. But to go along with this, you're going to want to throw on some mods on your armor for your shotgun, such as Shotgun Reserves, Shotgun Ammo Finder, Shotgun Dexterity if you're going to try to do the quick swap, which again I haven't quite mastered. That's kind of a slow quick swap. It still gets pretty much the highest DPS, but you want to be able to do the swap cancel, which I'm still learning myself. If I figure it out, I'll make a video, but there's plenty of videos out there for you guys. And then another thing for supers, if you are a hunter, you want to be doing Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun for that easy 300,000 damage. And then if you are a warlock, make sure you have Lunafaction on your well so that you can get the most range out of those shotguns. And then for titans, throw that bubble in the back so that you're essentially using weapons of light, and then the well is just so that you don't die. So this is the #1 loadout, my favorite thing to use. You can use this if you're doing anything except Operator pretty much, and you'll find if you're doing Suppressor, the Anarchy shots suppress very easily. You can just run in between the circles, and it's really easy and carefree. So I'm going to now show you guys the second loadout, which is one that you can still get in case that you can't get this first and last out God roll. So for those of you guys who are saying, Tasty, I don't have a first and last out God roll, how do I melt Taniks? Well, the answer for you guys is the Cloud Strike, the new exotic sniper rifle found from the Empire hunts on an elective difficulty. So basically, this gun you can very easily get right now. If you are able to do the raid, you're able to get the gun. And there's no farming for rolls, it's just farming to get it. Doesn't take that long to get though. And why you're going to want to use this is from the precision hits that you're going to do onto the Divinity bubble. Every couple hits is going to just call down this lightning storm, which is going to cause extra damage to Taniks. So basically, aside from your precision sniper shots, which are going to do good damage, you're just going to have this continual damage, kind of like how the Anarchy ticks. It's just going to sort of keep doing this arc damage onto Taniks. So with this loadout, as I said, we're using the Heritage Slug Shoddy from the raid for all these loadouts, so still use that. For extra damage, you can swap and sort of hot swap between them. But then for your heavy, since this is exotic and you cannot use the Anarchy, I would recommend one of the 2 following weapons. Either the 7th Seraph Saw light machine gun. It has some pretty good rolls. You can get like Firing Lion, Field Prep, things like that on it that'll help you kill the majors. Or actually the Commemoration LMG from the raid, which has a Void energy to it, would be even better perhaps for killing the Void Shielded Captains. So either of those 2 LMGs would be great for just shredding the ads, because you basically are going to do enough of your DPS with the Cloud Strike and the Heritage. Now if you want to take your DPS even further, you could get something like an Interference 6 grenade launcher, or some other kind of similar heavy grenade launcher, which will do good damage. You just basically have to time out your swaps so that you're making sure you're taking full advantage of the mag of Cloud Strike and still getting that recombination times 10 Heritage shot in, unloading your Heritage shots as you can. So you'll find different things you like, basically, is another thing I want to say is, you know, YouTubers have made things, videos of the best DPS, this and that, but you'll find the things that you like to use. Now, if you're someone who likes snipers, this is great because Izanagi's isn't doing so great against Taniks, but the Cloud Strike is. Also, for the final stand mechanic, I was going to say that Cloud Strike might be even better than Dual Shoddy because you're able to damage Taniks from afar, and you don't have to sort of run and gun or just prey on those Anarchy shots. So I definitely say that having at least one person in your fire team maybe using Cloud Strike wouldn't be such a bad thing. So there you can see just the footage, how it does great damage, and it's a lot of fun to use for sure. So this would be my second loadout, and the loadout that is still easily farmable to this day. So now we've come to the final loadout. You guys all knew it was coming. Nobody wants to do it, but somebody has to. Here is Divinity. So, interestingly enough, Operator was the role that I sort of flocked to since my first run on day 1. And when I was running Operator, initially I was just using Cool Denial, still using Ashadi and Anarchy, but I found that you're actually throwing away some DPS this way, and a lot of LFG groups will actually recommend that your Divinity person is your Operator. So here are a few reasons why that works. So basically, your Divinity person is going to just want to be throwing that Divinity down on Taniks the entire boss fight, as I've mentioned before, so there's really no need for them to have a good DPS weapon. And at the same time, Divinity, as you can see right there, is pretty good at taking out those bubbles for the stun mechanic that Taniks does to you, and drops the ball people in bubbles. So for these reasons, as well as the reason that you can always equip a pulse rifle or a scout if you want for your primary, and it doesn't matter because all you need for the boss is Divinity. In this case, I'm still using Heritage just for the ad clearing potential, the single target damage potential, but you know, like I said, you could use basically anything for your other 2 weapons, whatever you would like. So LMG, scout rifle, Heritage, anything. So for these reasons, your Operator should be the Divinity user. Now, if you like using Operator, then maybe learn to love Divinity a little bit, because you know it's definitely not as fun or as flashy as being the double slug Anarchy, you know, high DPS of your fire team, but it's reliable. Everybody's got to do it, sort of like the bass player or the drummer of the band. You know, nobody wants their phone number, but they are still doing great things for the band. So you know, take one for the team, suck it up, run Divinity. Right there as well, I just showed that if you get deactivated as Operator or Suppressor, you can actually throw it in the terminal before DPS, and then should you need a second DPS phase, you can pick it up right after. That's a little hack that I forgot to mention before. So here, as you can see, you just want to lay it down. You can sort of learn this little tap fire mechanic. I'm by no far the best Divinity user, but you know, I can get it done, and basically you just want to keep clicking on your mouse or clicking on your controller and make sure you're conserving your ammo as best you can, so that you basically will have to reload once you get booted, or in this case, once the DPS phase is over. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You are going to be running Divinity on Taniks, run whatever you want otherwise, and be the Operator. You're golden. Your LFG fire team will love you. Alright, so we've made it to the end of the DEEPSTONE CRYPT raid. You guys are ready. Go on into the LFG, find yourself a fun group of toxic individuals, and get this bad boy done. No, but seriously, I really appreciate it if you stuck along for the whole ride. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite parts of the video were and your favorite loadouts. Also, let me know down below if there are any loadouts you would tweak, or if there's anything else that you would recommend that we should know about. Make sure to join the community Discord, follow my Twitch, and leave a subscribe so that you're notified of future videos to come. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys, and have a beautiful day, you beautiful people.